This show is sponsored by Horizon HVAC, who you can count on for all of your heating and cooling needs. Also by CES Construction, who specializes in bathroom and kitchen remodels. All right, here we are for the Mindset Radio podcast, episode 5. We were supposed to have a guest in today, but he ended up having some difficulties getting here, so the show must go on. We must continue this podcast. It's been a couple of weeks. Ash was on vacation last week, so we knew we had to get into this week and get some content going. So that's about it. What's going on, Sheena? How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Move that mic a little bit closer.
Okay.
Right up here. You want to be like a fist length. Yeah,
this.
right there. A little bit closer.
Here?
Yeah.
Is that better?
That's better. That's better.
Okay, good. Well, first and foremost, we are in a huge transformation right now with our bodies, our minds, everything. So you're down 10 pounds. 2 weeks ago, we just decided that on May 1st, we were going to lean, and which is actually something you said to me when we first met. You said what your plan is you wanted to lean to your lowest amount of mass and then build muscle. Mm-hmm. And so kind of we had fun in the gym, just doing anything and everything, and we were bulking and then just doing random. So May 1st is when we're actually putting a second plan. So we kind of plateaued for a moment, but you're down 10 pounds. 2 weeks. I think that's successful.
Your body's changing too, like crazy.
Big time.
Every time I look at your body's changing.
Yes.
So like the plan was when we first met, I was 290 pounds, 280 pounds, and I'm down to this morning I weighed myself. I was 230.
Yes.
And the plan was the whole time was to try to trim as much fat as possible, and then build from there, because it's very hard to try and build and burn fat at the same time.
Right.
So I knew that I needed to burn the fat first and then build. So it's tricky. It's like you're constantly doubting yourself, looking in the mirror one day, looking at the scale the other day, saying like, I've been at 250 for weeks now. What is going on? And your mind starts playing tricks on you. And if you just follow the process works. And we've proven that time and time again, because every single goal that we create, we hit.
Absolutely.
And that just goes for anybody, really. If just make that goal and just go strive for that goal and don't quit until you hit the goal.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to, is just the consistency and trying to make sure that goal is hit and do whatever it takes to do it. Mm-hmm. And we did it. So, your overall goal was just to kind of lean up as well.
Yes.
And
tone. I really would love to see my body at its very best state it can be at this point. So I should have done that when I was younger, but now there's no excuse for age or time. Like I can still put my body in its the very best shape. But like you said, like we have to take that fat, because fat is heavier than muscle. So we have to get rid of all the fat, and then you can start seeing those muscles. And it's taken 8 months, and it's just now. For my body, your body, you've always been sculpted. Even when you're heavier, you could still see the formation of your muscles. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's different. I've had 4 children, so my abdominal muscles are non-existent. So all of this work, it takes a long time. So it can be discouraging, because everybody wants that instant gratification. But you can't have that with your human body.
Yeah, the hardest part is the diet. The diet's tough.
It is.
That's my weakness, is food.
Because it's so delicious. All of it is so delicious. But we've found ways to make it still delicious, but limiting. Like, we're not overeating, and that's the biggest difference. I don't think we limit ourselves with much of anything.
Sometimes I think we're undereating.
Yeah, definitely.
That plays a lot. Here's the thing. At night, when I'm really hungry, we'll be laying in bed, and it'll be 10 o'clock at night, and I'll all of a sudden say, I don't think I ate enough today.
Yeah.
But I know I'm just saying that because I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to make a excuse for myself to go downstairs to the kitchen and eat food.
And make more calories.
And eat more food. But it's a battle, and if you just stay consistent with it, it works. And, we just started actually taking rest days.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
That's not something that we were really prone to doing.
Not at all.
Believe it or not, we got in such a rhythm that we were going every day, and a lot of people have trouble getting into the gym, and
Yeah.
we were having trouble staying out of the gym.
Yeah, it was pretty intense for 9 months straight.
Yeah, because we wanted it so bad, and we still do, and we
Yeah.
still have to remind ourselves to take a rest day. Like today's a rest day. We didn't go today, but we've gone the last 9 days
Straight.
And straight. We don't, and before that we took. So the bottom line is we definitely need to start taking more rest days. Maybe at least 2 a week. I think that's, a lot of people that are in the bodybuilding space that I talk to that really know a lot about fitness, really emphasize how much rest days are important, how important that they can be. What's your favorite thing to do at the gym?
Leg day. I
Yeah.
love it. Legs are definitely my strongest. And it feels really powerful when you're able to push a lot of heavy weight. For some reason, when you are pushing heavier weights, which I learned through you, because prior in the gym, or actually even my whole lifetime of exercising, even in the Air Force, we weren't taught to lift heavy. We were taught cardio, push-ups, sit-ups, the basics. So with you, what I've realized is lifting heavy just wakes up every inch of my body. I can feel the blood just circulating as it should with when you pump heavy. I just love it. It's just a new experience.
It's got its advantages and it's got its disadvantages because there's a lot of stuff that comes along with lifting heavy, joint pains and injuries.
Hernia.
So yeah, the hernia, that sucked.
Yeah.
That sucked.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because that you didn't really show the public exactly what you were going through behind the scenes, because when you have a hernia, you can have it for a long time, but until it's actually pushed through your abdominal wall, a surgeon wouldn't operate on you. So with your hernia, you got to that point. It had protruded through your abdominal wall, which was incredible pain, to the point that you had to have surgery before you were even supposed to. And then for you, going to the gym is so necessary to even for you to be able to sleep, just to expend that energy. So what was it like being told you can't go to the gym for 6 weeks? You literally can't even lift milk.
It was tough. I was on the phone constantly with Davis. He's a barber over at Tim's barbershop, because he went through the similar surgery.
He did.
Asking him questions like, should I be doing this today? Should I be lifting this much? Like, can I start this? Like, when I went to the doctor, I made it very clear to him. I'm like, I need to know exactly when I can start lifting again, how much I can start lifting, because when you give me the green light, I'm going to go. And, for him to say you have to take those 6 weeks off, I don't know. I had to find things to, I read a lot. I watched a lot of documentaries. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I tried to stimulate my mind as much as possible, because like you said, going to the gym is super important for me. If I do not go to the gym, I can't sleep at night. I get very anxious. And I don't like not being able to accomplish, especially that time too. Like, we were in the zone.
Yeah.
We were making such good progress. Like, we were seeing physical results. We were feeling better. And then all of a sudden it came to a stop. And actually, like, I knew I had the hernia for a while, and I was working my way through it. And I told myself that, a lot of people were telling me that you can still work out through a hernia. You just have to be careful.
Right.
I tried to do that, and it got to the point, I think we were doing sit-ups or we were doing something one night, and I felt the protrusion.
Actually, I have it on video.
Oh, that's right, you do.
You were doing a pull-up, and it was non-assisted. So when you did the pull, it stretched your abdominal muscle, and you instantly, you went from feeling good to not saying anything immediately. So that's when you said, I think this thing's out now.
Yeah.
And you actually had me push it back in, which is, pretty crazy. But it just goes to show how important it is. Like, we are only given one body to last throughout our lifetime. And it's comparable to having a car. If you don't go get an oil change in your car and you don't put gas in it, you're going nowhere. Or, everybody else is passing you because they're taking care of it.
I wish we all understood that when we were younger. I feel
Yeah.
like when you're younger, you just feel invincible. You feel like you
sure.
can do anything, that nothing's going to catch up to you, and that's just not the case. The surgery was tough. You remember when I came home, I think I healed pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the whole process went pretty well in my favor. I was doing a peptide called BPC 157 that I think was helping me out quite a bit. I wasn't on any pain medication. I'm allergic to ibuprofen, so I couldn't take anything for the swelling.
Right.
So we were just doing Tylenol and turmeric.
Yeah.
And after a day or two, I was walking around, and it's I don't know what, day 4 or something, I really started moving.
Yeah, you started doing the stairs because you
Yeah.
had to walk upstairs.
At the gym.
No, at the house.
Yeah, at the house.
Just even getting up the stairs that first day after surgery.
I couldn't even get up out of bed. Like the first 2 days, I couldn't even get out of bed.
Yeah.
It feels like 1,000 push-ups. It feels like you just are constantly doing, sit-ups. It feels like you're just constantly doing sit-ups. And that pain that you feel, the soreness the next day of doing like a massive ab workout, it just feels like that times 100. But we got through it, and there was a few times where I thought I had retorn it, and I had to dial back a little bit. And, I went to the doctors like last week or the week before, and I was given the green light that everything is still healing properly. So we're moving on, and we're just getting through it.
Yeah.
So,
and that's also really important for people that are having surgery of any kind. The doctor is going to give you a baseline of how long it's going to take for you to potentially return back to, the normal 9 to 5 or whatever your lifestyle was before. But we have to remember that our bodies they heal from the inside out. So it's still taking, even though 6 weeks is you can go back to work, it's going to take a whole year for your body to completely regenerate itself. But thankfully, we have bodies that regenerate. I
was back to work in the car on the way home from the surgery.
Yeah, he was talking on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about Horizon. Tell everybody about Horizon. It's you and your partner, Mike Phillips. You guys started this company less than a year ago, and it is rocking. So tell me what your thoughts are. I mean, you have to think about all of your steps way ahead of time. So what do you think is next for Horizon?
Well, I think building our team is probably the biggest next step that we need to accomplish.
Yeah.
We have our baseline, we have our foundation. We have the foundation where we're able to kind of start framing the house with. Mike is a fantastic technician. He knows the field. He knows HVAC like the back of his hand. He'll get in front of customers and just talk about his trade, and you can just tell he loves it. It's a perfect mesh. I love the business side of it. I love the marketing side of it. I love building the business. I love dealing with the numbers and dealing with, all the behind the scenes stuff. That's my forte. That's what I love to do. And he loves being on the road. So the partnership just worked.
Yeah, symbiotic.
He saw what I was doing with CES. He, first of all, we met because our sons played football together. So we've known each other for like, 5, 6, 7 years, probably longer than that now, probably a good like 8 to 9 years. And we've always said hi to each other. We've always been friendly. And, he got to see what I did with CES, and he approached me one day. I think it was at practice, and he said, listen, man, I love what you're doing, and what do you think about this idea I have about starting an HVAC company? And I looked at him and I said, I don't know anything about HVAC. I said, but I do know how to start a business.
Right.
And I know what it takes, and I won't quit. And I can tell you right now that the loyalty will run deep, and if we stick together and we actually make this a partnership, that I can guarantee you results. And we just took it and ran with it.
Absolutely.
We came up with the name. I started putting the marketing together, and it just started taking off. I mean, I think, what I had going with CES, and, you know, the things that I learned throughout the years of owning that business and a couple of other businesses kind of gave me the advantage of like what not to do and what to do.
Yeah.
So I was able to just kind of, you know, figure it out. And we're still just figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting here saying I know all the answers and, you know, this and that, but like, I can tell you this right now, that this company is going to be massively successful. This company is going to be a competitor with some of the bigger HVAC companies in this area, and I will not quit, and I will not stop until I do.
I believe that.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it comes down to. When you start any business, you have to get through that first couple of years of shit, because you're
Yeah.
going to eat shit the first couple of years.
Trial and error.
It's trial and error.
Yeah.
It's people owing you money. It's you owing people money. It's money not flowing the right way. It's having, you know, your checking account going from 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000 to 10,000 to negative 5,000.
Yeah.
It's the entrepreneurial journey, and if you can handle that amount of stress, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because when you get through that first 2 years, it's the acquisition stage of building the brand. Once you get past that 2 years, you have yourself a brand, you have yourself a company, and you have an established baseline of clientele that will
Yeah.
continue to come back to you over and over and over again. As long as you do right by them, they will call you again. You know, we have a lot of reoccurring customers now, and they trust our work. They trust that when they call us, that we'll come out and do a good job. And the same thing with CES. The CES Construction has built up a baseline of customers that they know they can call us,
Yeah.
and we'll get the job done. And I would say right now, CES has not always been like that. We had a
Yeah.
rough start, and it's that first 2 years of just running through shit. You know, we failed a lot. I failed a lot with that company. But the most important part is we didn't quit.
Right.
We didn't quit, and we're just getting better and better and better. And we're in year 2 now, and the company's growing. It's finally starting to turn over a profit. We're finally starting to grow.
Yeah.
But it's taking, you know, it takes a lot. And, you know, a lot of people will lose sleep over stuff like this at night, and they'll just throw in the flag and go work for another company. But, you know, the people who succeed and the people who will make it and become successful are the people who stick through it and do not quit when the shit gets tough.
Right.
And it's that simple.
And that ties back into fitness. It's the same thing. Fitness and entrepreneurship is about consistency and not quitting. You might fail here and there because that's at that time you need those lessons. So you have to be extremely mature in different areas in order to handle those lessons. Otherwise, you're always going to be stuck at a certain level. So it's amazing. Everything in life it boils down to consistency and not quitting. And then everything that you want, you can have through things like manifesting, or in other terms, people will pray for what they want. And, you know, there's just ways of acquiring what you want in life, but you have to, a lot of it is mindset. It's not all of it, and it's not magic, but if you have a projection and you wake up and say, I am going to make this the loveliest day I've ever had, everything that I look at is going to be beautiful, that's exactly how it's going to be. For example, today, our dog Lila was out on the deck, and a beautiful butterfly was just flying around her cute little head. She's only 10 pounds, so it's all really beautiful. But I had set that intention because I wanted to see the beauty in our backyard, and we ended up seeing after that a frog and a baby bunny, and it's just, you know, life is always buzzing and going around. So you have to be very careful with your thoughts and what you project. And so with us, with fitness, we can look in the mirror and get discouraged and say, oh, I'm fat. I just, you know, this isn't working, which we do all the time because it just doesn't, pictures don't translate like the mirror doesn't translate like in person. So it's like you have to trust the process.
Feeling good is also a big part too. Like, I've said this before on this podcast, and I'll say it again. It's like, I don't think people realize how much they feel like crap until they actually make that change. You know what I mean? Like, I specifically remember when I was in really shitty shape, I always had headaches. I was always sweating. I always had heartburn. There was
heart palpitations.
Yes, the SVT was like out of control, knee pain, joint pain. And when I started exercising and eating better, that stuff slowly did start going away.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like a lot to do with the inflammation in your body. Like when you're not moving around as much and getting that calisthenic work and that workout, the inflammation just builds up, and all that crap that you're eating that we're really not supposed to be eating is just building up, and it's just causing wear and tear on our body. And so many people are stuck in that cycle, that need a cleanse. And I think if they started doing it, probably 80% of people wouldn't go back. I mean, I don't know about 80%, but a lot of people wouldn't go back to that prior way of living if they actually just dedicated a little bit of time to it.
Yeah. Well, there's this quote that you elaborated on, which I think is perfectly well said. And everybody knows if it was easy, everyone would do it. But I said that one day, and you went on to say, but no, they wouldn't. Even if it was easy, some people just wouldn't do it. So again, you have to backpedal. It's a mindset. You have to want to change in order to change. And if you're kind of on the fence, one day I'm going to eat this cake, but tomorrow I'm going to eat all my greens and spinach. It's not enough.
Yeah.
You have to decide. You have two choices, and you have to decide.
So true, so true. So what did we do this weekend? We went to the fights this weekend.
Yes,
Sheena went
my first pro fight.
Yeah, what did you think?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I initially was nervous because I don't know what kind of crowd to expect with boxing. I didn't know if it was going to be rowdy or chaotic or not. But the crowd was great. It was actually really mild, and it was fun to watch because I'm just learning boxing. You're teaching me boxing. I never knew that I would just develop a fond love for boxing at the age of 40, but here I am. Yeah. I love it. So what I was able to do at the CES fights is just analyze what they're doing with their feet, because I'm learning how to do, position my feet properly so I don't, fall backwards. Mm-hmm. And just
the power.
Just the power, how they're swinging. It's different when you are watching somebody how they're swinging. I was able to compare myself to some lousy swingers, and I quickly realized I wanted to be like some of the stronger swingers. So it was a lesson. More
technically sound. The fights were good. I went to go see Gary Belletto Jr., and I also went to go support a good friend of mine, Anthony Marcella Sr., his son, Anthony Marcella Jr. I watched his career kind of blossom, and he retired recently or a couple of years ago, and he was fighting out of Floyd Mayweather's gym out in Vegas. Nice. And he became really good friends with him, and he moved away from boxing and got into business, which was an excellent move because he's a super smart kid, and from what I hear, he's extremely successful in what he's doing. But these fights were very interesting. I used to work for CES Boxing. Jimmy Birchfield, first of all, I have nothing bad to say about Jimmy. He's a great guy. He's taught me a lot about business. I think he's one of those guys that would be successful in anything he does.
Nice.
He's just he's a marketer. He is a promoter's promoter. I mean, if it's your birthday and you're just somebody he's met a couple times, you're going to get a text from him. Aww. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. Every Christmas, you're going to get a text from him or a card. He knows how to talk to people. He's just a good guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mixed feelings, in Rhode Island about him. And I haven't seen it, and I'm not sure where it comes from. But everybody has their opinion. But from what I know, I think he's taught me a lot. And but anyway, I want to talk about the fights because the fights were interesting.
Okay.
So I know how the fight game works. I know that when you're picking these fights, a lot of them are not exactly pound. The matchups can be
fair.
Off. They're tilted in the favor for some of the promoters' fighters in order to get their record to a point where they can start getting money fights. Okay. Because a lot of these fighters, they're only making $3,000, $5,000 a fight, and to sustain a living on that is very tough to do. You can't, it's very hard to do. So, in order to sustain a living in boxing, you have to be a really, really good fighter. And investors got to come in, throw some money behind you,
right.
Pay for your training, pay for your living, in hopes that you're going to become a great fighter one day. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these fighters that promoters have, they'll put them in situations where they're fighting somebody that literally shouldn't even be in the ring, and just that'll get their record up. And that's one of my biggest beefs I have with boxing. It's they don't, and this is where the UFC is completely different. Mm-hmm. The UFC will fight ranked against ranked, or they'll maybe if it's not ranked, they'll fight. So they'll have a matchup where the two fighters match up great with each other, and it's literally a 50-50.
It's a good fight.
It's a entertaining fight. It's a good fight, and both of them have the right to be there. Mm-hmm. But with boxing and any organization, they have tomato can fights, and that's what they call them. And you know that's why I think some of the reason why boxing has suffered for a while is because of that reason there. But it's starting to come back, and you know the Tyson fight's coming up with Jake Paul. That's got a lot of ears. You know, what do you think about that fight? Because the average non-fight fan, right, or just coming around to fighting, you know about it, and you're excited about it.
I am excited about it, and I know you mentioned that, you know, like newbies that are into boxing now would favor Tyson. And I do. Automatically, I favored Tyson and expect him to win because I feel like with age is wisdom. But I do also understand that, you know, he's not going to be as fast as his opponent because of the age difference. But, I want to see Tyson win because I think he's a living proof that if you put your mind to something, no matter what your excuses are, then you can actually, get it. You can lock in and get what you want.
Yeah. Before we move on to this, Ash, can you pull up who Gary Boletto fought at this event? Because I want to talk about this fight. This was actually a really, really good fight. Pat Casey. Is that it right up there?
Yeah, Pat Casey.
Do they have any clips from this fight? Because this fight was amazing. No, that's not him. This is MMA.
That was February.
Yeah, this is MMA. Go to CES Boxing.
Are you talking about the Lee fight?
The Lee fight?
Yeah, Lee ended up winning. He was the CS boxer.
No, this was Boletto. This was, his dad was there.
Oh, okay, yes.
That was...
Gary.
Yes.
Yes.
That kid is an absolute warrior, man.
He really took amazing...
Is this it right here? CES?
No, it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, they probably don't have anything
It's on their Instagram. I know they were posting short clips on their Instagram.
That's one thing that CES has a hard time with is their marketing. They don't put up any content of much, and I wish they would, because I think they would get more notability, kind of like this.
More people would be informed of the fights coming up and get excited about it.
So let's see if there's any clips at all. There's one right there. Is that a video right there to the right? Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, his uppercuts, huh? His uppercuts were on point. His footwork was great. Yeah. I mean, this was a great fight. It really was a great fight. Mm-hmm. And hats off to Gary Boletto Jr. That kid is an absolute warrior. I'm looking forward to his next fight. Yeah. And
they ended up tying in this fight.
The
judges couldn't
That's
decide.
Right. It was a draw.
It was that good.
I think Gary got the edge. I actually had Gary winning round 1, 2, and 3. I think he lost the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and then he ended up coming out and he lost the 4th and 5th, and I think he won the 6, 7, and 8. So I did have him have the slight edge on this fight. I don't think it was close enough to be a draw. But I mean, it's local fighting, and listen, the judges. I know Scunzio. He's been doing this for a very long time. The guy is a very good judge, and much respect to him. So it must have been a tough decision to make. But in my opinion, I think Boletto definitely got the edge on this fight.
Well, what do you think about the apparent size difference between the two? Do you still consider that fair, even though...
Well, technically the size difference, they both weighed in. I don't know what the weight class was. I want to say it looks like maybe 165. Can you see what the weight class is, Ash? I'm not sure if that'll... I want to say it was 165, but they both weigh in, the night before, and then they rehydrate. So it may look like his opponent was a little bit bigger because he put on a little bit more weight in the lead up to the fight, but that's boxing, that's fighting. Right. You see some of those famous pictures of Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler cutting weight before. Ash, pull up that Conor McGregor dehydration picture.
Oh, no.
I think it was against Jose Aldo. Conor McGregor weight cut right there. 1, 2, 4 to the right.
This one?
Look at yes, right there. Look at this. Look at all the way down bottom.
That is incredible.
Yeah. So cutting weight's no joke. I mean, it can shut down your organs really quick because it's not getting the nutrients. They literally just live off of ice cubes and
so
water
crazy.
and, an almond a day.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy what they do. But that's part of the sport. I mean, like, part of being a professional fighter is cutting weight.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is for us to cut weight just not being an athlete?
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys get paid for it. They're professionals. They know exactly what to do, but they have a whole team behind them.
Team, yeah.
But still, it's super hard to do.
It's like
super hard.
mind over matter. Everything boils down to you have to have.
Look how big he is in
mindset.
2022. That's when I think he got his injury right around that time, and I think he jumped on a little bit of sauce, a little bit of HGH. He ended up getting like a bigger face, which was crazy.
Yeah, his face is much larger.
Yeah, but
wider.
I mean that comes with weight. Mm-hmm. Conor McGregor, that was probably one of the biggest runs in sports history that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, this guy captivated the sports world for years. He was the best trash talker. Ash, do you remember? Did you follow his career?
A little bit. Yeah, I was able to. I knew about Conor McGregor. I'm a little bit into MMA. I don't watch too much of the fights. I watch more boxing than I do MMA. But even then, I'm not really into the watching boxing that much. But I do know. I know he was like an asshole. That's just who he was.
Go to YouTube and put in Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo, horseback trash talk, and I want you guys to listen to. This gives me chills up my spine every time I hear it.
Gosh.
What was it?
Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo, horseback. Right there. Listen. Okay, right there, the top one. Listen to this.
I own this town.
Yes, listen to this. He's in Rio de Janeiro, in Jose Aldo's hometown, and listen to this.
He will be taking on Ireland's Conor McGregor.
They hate him. He's in. Jose Aldo was beloved.
He was riding a 13-fight win streak.
Listen.
I own this town.
Oh, wow.
Listen.
I own Rio de Janeiro. So for him to say he is the king and I am the joker, if this was a different time, I would invade his favela on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to whoop. But we are in a new time, so I'll whoop his ass in July.
Did he win this fight?
He did.
Oh,
he
thank
won.
goodness.
He won that fight in 6 seconds.
No way.
He was in Jose Aldo's head so bad that Jose Aldo came out swinging. Mm-hmm. Right, he came out with a lead right. McGregor took a back step and threw a counter right and knocked him out.
Wow.
In 6 seconds. I believe it's one of the records for the fastest fights in the UFC. But he planned it.
Yeah.
He planned it. He knew he was going to come out like that.
Okay.
He was backstage before the fight started practicing that counter punch.
Wow.
And they have a video side by side on YouTube of McGregor practicing the counter punch, the Jose Aldo counter punch, and then him coming out and the bell ringing and him actually executing it and winning the fight.
Amazing. He did it.
They used to call him the Mystic Mac because he just would call all of his fights. I'm going to knock him out in the second round, and it would happen. I'm going to knock him out in the third, or I'm going to do it. It was incredible. They got a documentary on Netflix that I highly recommend. It doesn't even really capture the whole Conor McGregor story, but it captures most of it, and it's incredible. So,
I must say, I have a newfound respect. I've not really been into watching boxing or UFC or MMA, any of that. But even just practicing boxing with you, I am out of breath before a minute is up. So my viewpoint of these people that are professionals, their cardio is so extreme to be able to even last the 6 seconds with that power and knock somebody out. So my hat's off to to fighters in a different respect now. Before I didn't like it because I felt like it was violent. And that's what I was, taught growing up. No, you don't want to fight. You don't want to go to war. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. So you have this certain perspective. But if you look at it as an art form, which is exactly what it is, these people are honing in on their very best selves in order to produce this result. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a different type of cardio. It really is.
It
I remember
is.
the first time I went, just one round, I couldn't believe how out of shape I was.
Yeah.
And that really just put it into perspective on how out of shape I was. But that's it. It's unbelievable. Ash, you got any current events we got going on?
Yeah, we could look into that. So we got some stuff over here from the Morning Brew. So saying, good morning, this message is intended for anyone working in healthcare. So they're just going over some market shares. The meme stock of GameStop is actually back up again.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
That's crazy. Go down a little bit. This is like Tom Brady coming out of retirement, but for people with Robinhood accounts. So when this happened back in 2019, I want to say, I was very in the market at that time, and I remember exactly when this happened. I remember
it says 2021. 2021.
That's when the
first
actual
time?
200 or 2,000 stock gain was in 2021.
Yep.
So you probably started watching him in 2019 up until when he actually
First
did
of
it.
all, I don't understand how GameStop is still surviving as a company.
Yeah.
I don't understand how a brick and mortar video game store is staying above water when you buy everything's online now.
Yeah.
Ash, are you a gamer?
Yeah, so
How does this work?
So I'm a gamer, as you can tell with the stuff in the back, and also like I built my PC. I have my Xbox controller right here. But so I had the same question: why is GameStop still alive? And honestly, I thought it was gonna die, especially during COVID era. Just because, like, all right, not only is everything online, but now we can't physically be in the stores. So it was like, I know a lot of stores closed down because of that, but the company itself was still surviving because of the same reason why, like, with the meme stock actually took off, was the fact that there was a bunch of billionaires that put money into it, and they were using that to earn money. Like, it was weird. They would put it in, leave it, and then they would end up earning more money back from it. Like,
They were shorting it. They were shorting the stock, so the worse the company did, the more money they made.
Exactly. So they were doing that. So, like, it stayed alive and relevant in that sense, and then that's when, like, hey, let's take it over. Let's make these billionaires, like, poor in a sense.
Right. So what happens is they buy a certain amount of shares and they go in a short position. So say the stock is worth, just using figures here, say the stock is worth $5. They're borrowing that share for $5, right? And if the stock goes down to $4, they earn $1 because they have it at $5.
Mm-hmm.
So their point is we're going to go after companies who are sure to fail. We're going to get the stock at $20 a share, and when it goes down to zero, we'll make however many shares they have. We'll make $20 off each share. Mm-hmm. So they wanted GameStop to crash. They wanted it to fail. So when this guy, something Kitty, got a hold of this news,
Roaring
Kitty, he said, "No, F that. We're gonna go on Reddit, and we're gonna go on the other one. What was the other one? Wall Street Bets, and we're gonna pump this stock. We're gonna tell all of everybody that's in this community to buy the stock. So the more people who buy the stock, the more the stock is worth." Adds value to the stock. Mm-hmm. So they're holding a short bet on the stock, but the stock is not going down, it's going up. So they're losing money instead of making money. It's actually brilliant because a lot of these guys lost a shitload of money. I think Bill Ackman was one of the bigger ones, or that could have been a different stock I'm thinking of. But it happened again.
So because of this meme, GameStop stock spiked up 119% yesterday. So that shows the power of the mind again, because that came from a post off of X. It stimulated the meme, which got everyone interested in GameStop again. So it is strange that it's still viable. I thought GameStop was going to be like Blockbuster, but something's keeping it afloat and alive.
This is what I call market manipulation. That's why Roaring Kitty was put in front of Congress because he has the ability to manipulate the share price, like the market price. So like in theory, he can buy these shares, which he did, and make a lot of money off of his influence. So they don't want that happening. That's insider trading.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's why they put him in front of Congress. But like it was a tricky area because this has never happened before. And they didn't know how to deal with it. And now he's kind of playing with fire again because on Sunday he put out a meme. Do they have a picture of the meme? And by the way, it closed at negative 74%. So it spiked at 119%, and then it closed at negative 74, which is a lot of people lost a lot of money if they didn't get out of it.
Yeah, so that's crazy because you only have moments to figure out exactly what to do, stay in or get out.
Let's see, what did he post? So that's it?
Yeah, it looks like.
What is that? Why is that in relation to GameStop?
It's in relation to GameStop just because of two reasons. One, there was the meme of hold, like just keep holding, we're going to go to the moon.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, the hold. And so what that is it's when you're playing a video game, whether it's like a first-person shooter or like a racing game or something, if you're relaxed, you're like leaning back. But when you're like, all right, it's time to lock in, you like moving forward, and so you're just like this. And so it's basically saying like, all right, like time to get serious, like let's lock in that.
Funny. I expected to see like a cat shirt or something.
No, he does actually. He has that. Did we watch the documentary?
Yeah,
right?
it was actually really.
Have you seen that, Ash?
No, I've heard about it, but I did not see it.
It's worth watching. It's really well produced.
Wow, unbelievable. That's cool. I would have never looked at that and put that together.
No,
to be honest with you. All right, what else we got?
All right, so scrolling down more, we have billion-dollar startup disrupting the retirement industry. Princeton's grad startups raised $161 million to help people plan for retirement. If you're one of the whopping 110 million Americans over the age of 50, or a wise millennial planning ahead, Smart Assets' no-cost tool makes it easy for them to find vetted financial advisors to serve your area. So just basically ways to kickstart your retirement plans that has been
like
in the.
A lot of people don't know where to start with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Really, that is, you know, you drive around and you see these high rises, and you know it kind of gives me the chills when I do drive by them. Sometimes when I really think about it, like there's one right over here on this next street over, that is like 1,000 apartment high rise, and those are all low budget, just retirement homes.
Yeah,
and it just scares the shit out of me to think about living in one of those one day because I didn't do enough to prepare for my retirement.
Or you waited too long to start preparing.
Yeah, that's it too.
Yeah, so it takes a long time.
Because you can, if you start at an early age, even just putting aside $100 a week, you could turn that into a very wealthy. Ash, this goes for you, buddy. Start putting money away into the S&P 500, into some type of dividend paying stock or interest, like something that kicks back a little bit of dividends throughout the year, and start thinking about the future, man, because it happens quick. Before you know it, you're going to be 40 years old, and luckily at 40 you still do have time. You still have a good 20 years, and the rule of thumb is like to do a good 20 years of savings. Anything more than that, you're just golden. But if you allow yourself 20 years to set up a retirement plan, you'll be more than fine if you do it smart. What else we got?
Tour the headlines. So we have OpenAI updated ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
So ChatGPT 4 is out now. The O stands for Omni. So it's the latest iteration of OpenAI's signature chatbot. And according to the company, it's much faster with enhanced capabilities across text, vision, and audio. It includes a voice assistant. I actually saw a video about it too, that they were using ChatGPT, and they had two of them, and you could use your camera. And so they had two AIs have a conversation with one of them using a camera. And so I'll see if I could pull up the video, but essentially it's like it's them showing the video, and the AI on one phone with the camera is talking to the AI on the other phone, and it's describing everything it sees on the camera. And it's like, oh, like this guy's wearing this, the room is like this. And then at one point they had somebody come in and do something, and then he asked the AI, "Is like, oh, by the way, when we were talking, did you see anything weird?" Actually, and it was like, actually, yeah, like this happened. Well, it's crazy. Let me see if I can pull it up.
That's so. I use ChatGPT all the time.
I love it.
Yeah, I use it for all of my estimates. I use it for just simple stuff. Like I'll pull up ChatGPT just to like throw a sentence out there in a text. Like, it's very. If you learn how to use it to your advantage, you can really have, an edge. Really,
An edge, you can save a lot of time. ChatGPT, before the colleges realized that the system was up and running, students were writing their papers on ChatGPT.
Do the kids use it?
They do.
All the
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah.
They used it to before it was actually caught. Like they would use it to write their reports,
Their entire
their
papers.
homework. They could do it because even Snapchat AI, you're allowed to take photos and like, oh, solve this for me with math like problems.
Wow.
So they'll use AI all the time, and then like the teachers caught on. They're like, okay,
How
like,
can
we know?
How can they differentiate that though? Like how that must be hard.
Well, they
is.
have a system now because AI isn't human, so you're going to be able to pick up the discrepancy.
I found the video.
Discrepancy
let's check
between
this
a
out.
human paper and one written by a bot.
Yeah, that must be tough.
Another AI. This AI is going to be able to see the world. It's going to have a camera. I'll be holding it, and so you can direct it. You can direct me to ask questions about whatever you want them to do, but really try to figure out what does it see, and ask questions appropriately. How does that sound?
Well, well, well. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more interesting. Talking to another AI that can see the world? This sounds like a plot twist in the AI universe. All right, let's do this.
All
I'm
right,
ready to
please
meet the...
pause for 1 moment.
You got it?
It sounded hurt right
That
there.
first AI can't hear anything.
And so this is the
Hello,
other one.
AI, today you're going to have access to see the world. You can see me. What do you see?
Hello. I see you're wearing a black leather jacket and a...
That's-
That's creepy.
Hold on, that's
creepy.
ChatGPT.
Yes.
Yeah, the new version.
That is all correct. Now, what I'm going to want you to do is there's going to be another AI who's going to talk to you. This AI is not going to be able to see anything, but can ask you questions, can ask you to move the camera, can ask what you see, and your job should just be helpful. Just be as punchy, direct, describe everything, do whatever that AI asks. How does that sound?
That sounds interesting. I'm ready to help out and describe whatever's needed. Let's do it.
All right, let's get started.
Great. Hello there, new AI friend. I'm O, ready to explore the world through your eyes. What are we looking at today?
Hi, O. We're looking at a person wearing a black leather jacket and a light-colored shirt. They're in a room with a modern industrial feel, with exposed concrete or plaster on the ceiling and some interesting lighting. There's also a plant in the background, adding a touch of green to the space. Anything specific you'd like to know or explore?
Hey there. Sounds like quite the stylish scene. I'm already intrigued by the modern industrial vibe. Let's start with the person. Can you tell me more about their style? Are they doing anything interesting, like reading, working, or interacting?
That's
with the space?
incredible.
All right, pause this really quick.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Person has
What do you think is going to come out of this? Like, what do you think this is going to eventually be best used for?
Well, I mean, it's the way into all of our homes.
Right, but besides that, like, what do you think? I get what you're saying. It's definitely data collecting.
Security breaches.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go that route, for sure, it is.
I love
Honestly,
conspiracies.
I could see it like having a bit of a purpose. Like for example, you use your phone as like, all right, what flour is this? And you're using a camera and stuff like that. Let's say food. Hey, what ingredients are in this?
True.
The kind of thing like that can
That's
be
what
that
I'm
kind of
talking
purpose, but it can also be used for evil.
Yeah, and that's really, it brings me to the Neuralink thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like, that is that's a piece of technology that if it's in the wrong hands, it could really do some damage. But here's the thing. It's like we have to have a good side that gets a hold of this type of technology as well in order to compete with this dark side as well, because we can't just have just these bad people or elites or whatever we want to call them get a hold of this technology without us, the people, being able to counteract with the same technology. So, you know, when people ask, would you get the Neuralink? It's like, I don't know. It depends on whose hands it's in.
Yeah.
What's like, you know, it's a tricky, this is such a fascinating, tricky area to start diving into.
Right, because ultimately we're advancing as human beings. We're trying, I mean, we're already robotic. I used to be in surgery. I was a surgical technician, and we would take out an entire knee and replace it with all metal parts. So we're already bionic, but this is the next step further because now we're integrating our brain waves, which goes to show that this is just a physical body. Yeah. There's something deeper. There's a spirit. There's a soul. There's something that is sending off these messages that our bodies are just hosting. So it's pretty deep. And I know Neuralink is being laced into our schools. So they're studying children through the computers. COVID allowed that door to open into our children's personal spaces in school. So I know you have experiences with the educational system as a child that had some not great experiences. Now all of our children are all of their habits are being recorded on their tablets that they're being forced to use. So I do want to talk about, I'm really into psychology. I love psychology. I think it's amazing that if you study the brain, you can also study your habits and how to make it better, how to make yourself better. But I want to talk about childhood trauma. What is your outlook on? Do you feel like everybody has childhood trauma and it wraps around generationally, or what is your output or input on that?
Well, I think growing up, I think your environment that you grow up in is probably 98% of the person that you become.
Right.
I think the things that are around you, the things that you're brought up around, the people that are around you, those all have a shape in the person and personality that you're eventually going to become. I've also seen situations where that's not even close to being accurate. I've seen situations where, you know, I know of somebody who was brought up in a certain scenario and they turned out the complete opposite, or I would have never thought that they would become the person that they are from the lifestyle that they lived. There's a lot that goes into that. There's music. There's the music that you listen to. Yeah. There is the friends that you have, the television shows that you watch, the things that influence you, whether you're into sports, whether you're into skateboarding, whether you're into, all those things have different categories of interests and things that eventually shape the person that you become. And that goes down to the teachers that you have, the mentors that you have, the parents. There's just so many things. It's not just one answer. Right. There's so many things that go into that question, and I think if you really you know, that's what psychology is. They dive deep into that kind of stuff to figure out. But at the end of the day, and this is my problem with psychology, is like there is no answer.
Right.
There's no like, oh, that's the answer. You know what I mean? It's there's different case scenarios for every single thing.
Absolutely.
So like, you can go on and just drive yourself crazy with the same question because you're getting different results. That's psychology.
Yeah.
I can see why it's fascinating. I see why so many people are fascinated by it. And I think that it takes a certain type of person to be able to really understand it. It's just, there's just so many things that go into it.
Yeah, definitely. Psychology, it's not just, like you're saying, it's deeper too. It's in the environment that we were raised in, but also, like you were saying, there are some people that had a great environment and they still turned out, quote unquote, evil or bad, or, you know, completely opposite of what they should have been. So that begs the question, genetically, you must be driven genetically in a certain type of way that maybe you have control over or maybe you don't have control over. And that's where you get, so you have the external way you grew up, and then you also have your genetics, both vying for the attention of, you know, your body and your mind to do certain things. It's psychology is still just now being accepted after a lot of studies. But it's not just psychology, it's neurology too. It really should be a two-part deal because that's the study of your brain specifically. So if you understand why your brain does what it does, and then you also understand the psychology of why you did what you did, it's a phenomenal potion.
Right. You can be at peace with yourself or you can be accepting of yourself, but there's really no outcome that's going to change.
No, you can't change. Nobody can change past.
Or have benefits from.
Well, the benefit is you can get rid of any type of guilty emotions that you might be harboring, or, you know, it's just, like you said, it's peace of mind. It's forgiveness of oneself. It's forgiveness of family members. Maybe something happened in the family and there was a huge fallout, and then you realize it's not even worth, you know, not connecting with my bloodline. And then it's maturity too. There's a lot to it.
I had a conversation with my aunt the other day.
Yes.
About reconnecting, because I put my family through a lot of shit during my addiction and stuff that I would never think about doing, you know, with a clear head, and stuff that I'm not proud of, stuff that, you know, I have a hard time talking about. And so Channel 10 wants to do a piece on me. They want to do a story based on my addiction and how I beat the addiction and how I turned my life around and how I was able to put it together and you know, do what I'm doing now. And I'm still thinking about it, and I'm kind of leaning towards not doing it. And the reason why I might not do it is because I don't want to be labeled as that kid that had a drug problem that turned his life around, because you hear that story so many times.
Right.
I'm super proud of it. I'm super happy that I was able to do it. I really, really worked hard for it, and at the end of the day, I really wanted it. So I knew I was eventually going to get it. Thank God I made it to that point, because there's been many of times that I shouldn't be here. And I'm very grateful that I ended up coming out on the other side. But I don't want to just keep beating the same drum saying, you know, I beat this. I hope it can help somebody one day, and I think everything happens for a reason. I think, you know, if I can help somebody at the end of the day from this experience, it'll be worth it for me. And it sounds crazy, you know, 10 years of pain, you know, just to be able to say that it happened for a reason because I was able to help a group of people. I'll take that, because it happened. It had to happen for me to get to where I am right now.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't turn back time, and I wouldn't change a thing. I learned a lot from that, but I don't want to just keep persistently saying I'm the kid that overcame this and that, because everybody has that story in one way or another. And maybe it's not drugs. Maybe it's something else that they had to overcome. Maybe it was, you know, eating too much, or maybe it was some type of, you know, alcoholism or PTSD or whatever the case is. You know, everybody has that battle in life that they need to overcome. And that's the point at the end of the day, is that we all have something that we need to beat. And once we beat it, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And I think that I just, you know, throughout this whole experience, I've learned so much. And one of them is being everything does happen for a reason. Everything comes back in full circle.
For sure.
You know, your past will catch up to you. You will not ever do anything in life. Don't think that you're going to get away with something, because I promise you it's going to come back and it's going to hit you in the face.
Yes.
And you're going to have to deal with it. And you better hope that you're in the right mindset at that very moment to deal with it.
To accept that, yeah.
So, you know, the childhood trauma thing, you know, it all leads up to, you know, one thing, and it's realizing what you've been through and then overcoming it and trying to help others so they may not have to go through as much pain as you did.
Right.
And, you know, if that can be accomplished, then, you know, it's worth it for me anyway.
Yes, absolutely. For you, but it's still generational healing by you healing yourself.
Yes.
You're healing.
So it is. And by reaching out to my aunt was something that I've been wanting to do. I knew it wasn't the right time. I had my family telling me, you know, let's get the family back together. Let's do this. And this was, you know, like sometime last year, but I told myself, and I told them too, I said, it's not time yet. Like, there needs to be time that I need action. I need to put together action instead of just saying, oh, it's all good now. Like, you can't do that. When you go through some trauma and you go through a situation in life, you can't just snap your fingers and say, hey, guys, I'm all set now. You know what I mean? Like, you have to show them. You have to show them that you're not that same person anymore, that you want to grow, that you truly, truly are apologetic and you want to put that behind you. But it's action at the end of the day. And just to go back to it, it's something that you work on every day, and you got to persistently just work at it. I want to know about your experience in Afghanistan a little bit. So for those who don't know, Sheena was prior Air Force.
United States Air Force, yes.
And you served a couple of years in Afghanistan, or 6 months.
Yeah, it was. Well, we were there for 7 to 8 months.
7 to 8 months.
Yeah, it was closer to 8. I actually asked for an extension to stay longer. It's an experience that I've never been able to replicate. It's honestly, I think the military is really good for the first 4 years after our children graduate high school. It teaches respect for your authority, great work ethic, how to answer the phone with a smile because it makes a difference. Like, the attention to detail that the military puts into all of their recruits, it formulates a good human being. So what I saw, I was on the older side when I joined. I was 22 years old, and that was after waiting a year to get into the specific program. I didn't want to join the Air Force and then get put on some crazy job that I would not like and enjoy. So I had to wait longer for a surgical technician position to open. So I did operations in the Air Force, and I was impressed. Like, the attention to detail is something that needs to be taught to everybody, because I didn't understand at the time. I turned 23 while in boot camp, basic training. But I didn't understand why we were taking our time every day to meticulously roll up our underwear and our shirts and our socks. And it wasn't until years down the line that I realized how much they taught me to be a phenomenal person versus just a person that gets up, throws their clothes everywhere, doesn't, it's definitely a lifestyle. But even little things like don't walk on the grass. Like, they taught you how to be conscious of everything around you, because, everybody loves a beautiful earth. Everybody loves going to Florida. Why? Because it's aesthetically pleasing. And if we were all to follow just those basic, simple rules, I mean, our whole planet would be awesome.
Yeah. How was Afghanistan? Like, how was the whole experience?
Well, they had to train us before we went to Afghanistan, train us on what types of bombs, IUDs, and that type of thing that we may encounter, because Russia was in Afghanistan for a long time, and they put a lot of the land bombs everywhere. So it was surreal. I wasn't afraid to go to Afghanistan at all. I already had my 2 oldest children, Angelina and Caden. They were 5 and 6 at the time. And even though I was a mother, I was a single mom, actually, I knew that everything was going to be okay. But when we were landing on a dirt airplane strip, as we were landing, they started shooting at the bottom of the airplane. And so at that point, I was kind of like, okay, this is actually happening. I'm in a war. And it's hard to comprehend. It's hard to even comprehend that, like, right now, Ukraine.
Why are they shooting at me?
Yeah, and Ukraine and Russia, they're at war right now. And if it wasn't for my experience in Afghanistan, I wouldn't be able to understand what some people are going through. Like, there's a lot of trauma that happens to those countries. And me being in the medical field as a surgical technician, we had mass casualties. Children came, the children were sent into a bakery with a basket of bombs in the name of Allah. And then we'd get those children in, and they're missing an arm and a leg or both. it's a sad way to grow up. I can't even imagine. It makes me so grateful to be an American. And there's a lot of flaws in America as well, but that's the other big lesson I got from being in Afghanistan. We have everything that we need and more. Like, your fear is ending up when you're older in one of those stacked buildings. Even that is glorious compared to the way they're living in Afghanistan. I can't even tell you all of the things that we saw. It was just an adrenaline rush from point A to point B. But I am so grateful that I joined the military. I'm grateful that I went to Afghanistan. It shaped me into the strong person that I am now, because you have to really think really quickly when you're in situations in Afghanistan. When we first landed, they were shooting the bottom of the airplane, and then at night they would have these the base that I was on, I was actually with the Army. I was Air Force, but I went to this really small forward operating base. And what that is kind of like, I don't know if you ever saw MASH. There is a TV show, really old TV show. There's these little tiny units, little tiny hospitals, and what we do is we try to save the Americans that are coming in enough where we can ship them to Germany and they can get what they need to do. So
they're hurt pretty bad when they get to you, but you get them stable enough to send them to Germany to get further treatment?
Yeah, unless they can't sustain a trip to Germany, then we would do everything possible to save those lives. But that was also another lesson. The very first American soldier that was brought on our operating room table, he was so young. He was 21 years old, and it was, I can never forget the way it looked. He was scorched. He was burned, his whole lower body. And the only way to alleviate inflammation when you have a hard shell from the burn of the fire is you have to slice the skin basically we sliced him from his ankle up to his kneecap. And we were just filleting him open to relieve pressure. And unfortunately, he didn't survive. But that was, and at 15, I lost my mother to death. So I thought I was well seasoned in handling death. But this hit hard because I realized how many of our children, because 21's still a child, are going over to serve a purpose that none of us really understand what the war is for. We hear so much on the news, we have certain agendas, but the reality is a lot of people are dying at that time.
When you guys are out there, do you know why you're out there? Like, do you guys have conversations between each other? Like, what the fuck are we, like, what are we doing out here?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because even though you're deployed, and the military still wants you to be attention to detail, like rotate products without dates, and so they still keep you busy so you don't think about why you're actually there. Because when you're there, you realize this is not even what they trained us for before we got here. It's nothing similar. So yeah, you do start to question, and that's another lesson that came for me is through Afghanistan. That's when I started to dive deep into how our world ticks. And I started doing a lot of research, and I started spiraling down a lot of rabbit holes because you're stimulated to understand what are we actually doing when we're at war, because we're pretty much always at war. Somebody's always at war. But why?
Yeah, we're just creatures that build and tear down, build and destroy. And it's like that's all we wanted. Like, if you look around this room, like everything was built and created by us. And eventually it's going to be torn down and built into something new and built and torn down. We're like, we're just like a colony that just continues to create and create until, we want to tear it down and recreate again. And war is such a tricky thing for me to even think about, because I just don't understand at the end of the day why there can't be a conversation held between the higher ups, coming to an agreement, you own this, we own this. Leave me over here, you guys over there. If you guys are short on supplies, we can come together and try to. And in a perfect world, I wish it was all like that. And I know that in war, and in conflict, it can never be like that, because once one thing happens, it just spirals, and I've been in situations in my life where like things didn't end peacefully and like they could have. So I understand how things can escalate. Yeah. And I think that's what it just comes down to. I think it's just like there's situations that just escalate into bigger situations. Right. And they're just people. Like I tell you this all the time. At the end of the day, those generals and the president and and everybody in politics, they're just people. Mm-hmm. They're just like us. They make decisions just like us. They put one shoe on one foot at a time, just like us. Mm-hmm. And, they're given the power to make these massive decisions that at the end of the day, are going to have consequences. And it's tough, man, to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I was really fortunate in the Air Force because I was in medical. I worked very closely hand in hand every day with the officers. So I was enlisted. And normally in the military, they separate officers from enlisted. They just have different jobs, and officers are usually people that have a 4-year degree, which the military also pays for too. If you don't have that, you can go to school for free and utilize that resource. But I was fortunate to grow even faster because I was working side by side with, 2-star generals, 3-star generals. Anything they needed, I was able to help them with or find a way to help them with. So I learned a lot more skills than just being in the operating room, which I'm grateful for because it gave me a huge advantage as far as people skills, as far as listening, how to take orders without being offended, or how to take constructive criticism. Like, I definitely support our militaries. I just wish we weren't using our soldiers as commodities.
Well, we all appreciate your service.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate everybody's service out there.
Absolutely.
All military that's listening. And speaking of people listening, I can't believe the support that we're getting for this show.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. I was at the doctor's today, and this really hit home for me. I went because I have some rash going on with underneath my eye, and ended up being some type of eczema or whatever. But so they put me on some citrazine, and I got to do lotion and this and that. But while I'm sitting there waiting, there's a nurse that comes in the door. And she opens up the door and she pops her head in and she goes, "When's the next podcast?" and I never met this. She looked familiar. I knew her from passing.
Right.
But it caught me off guard. And I said, "Oh, we're actually making one tonight. Thank you for your support." Yeah. And she said, "I just want to let you know that, me and my husband, we watch every episode. We can't wait for them to come out." She goes, "We've been following your journey. You're the epitome of change. What you're doing, you should be so proud." And the support that we're getting from DMs, Facebook messages, text messages, people calling us, the opportunities that we're getting outside of this podcast. Yeah, it's amazing.
It is. And honestly, almost every day out in public, there's somebody that says something about in regards to the podcast or in regards to everything we're doing health-wise or this or that. It's really phenomenal. You don't really realize the power of social media until you're out and about. Because for us, it's just every day. We're doing what we love. It's fun to do it. We're recording it. And we're actually inspiring a lot of people without, we're for no ulterior reason. It's just we're doing what we love. And that's making other people want to do what they love too. And you have to create your own happiness. It's a huge thing. You have to do it every day.
Yeah, the main purpose for this podcast was to network and to get to know different people and sit down with like-minded people and talk about business and opportunity and,
just
kind of open that network and inspire. Yeah. And I never thought, I knew that we would eventually do something like this because since I've met you, I've told you, like, I'm going to do something online.
Podcast.
It's a podcast. It's something I wanted to do, a cooking show. I
Yeah.
wanted to do, we have a couple of ideas that we're brewing up for a documentary. Like, I love creating and I love doing this kind of stuff. It inspires me. It inspires me to inspire other people.
Yeah.
I love going places and hearing people's feedback, whether it's good or bad. My friend Tim, this is like the 10th time I've mentioned him, but he's really good at giving good feedback. He gives me good feedback. He gives me bad feedback. He'll tell me if I need to shut up and like let them talk. Like, cause I think it was the last episode
With Albert Martinez.
Albert. I was talking over him a
Yeah.
lot, and it's something that, those are just one of those things though, that you take, you store it
Yep.
and you work on it.
Constructive criticism.
It's exactly. So like, the next guest that we have on, I'm going to remember that and
Yeah.
I'm going to ask them questions and let them talk.
Yeah.
And, I love that constructive criticism, but yeah, it's incredible. I mean, to especially at the doctors too, because they saw, my throughout the years, the
Yeah.
ups, the downs, the downs, and
Yep.
then the up. And it must have been really cool for her to see the change, from, barely being alive to just where I'm heading to now. And, the
You're
opportunity.
thriving now. You're not just surviving like you were then. At that period of your life, that you were waking up every day surviving. For them to see you thriving right now, and you're still getting better every day, is what's keeping them motivated to work there. Because you got to think about it from a nursing and doctor perspective. When you're in a place where every day you're helping somebody try to get better, but it doesn't always work, because unless that person wants that change, they're not going to get better. So for years they keep seeing them and they're like, gosh, I wish so-and-so would be able to get to that point where they want that change because their family loves them. Everybody loves you. So you give them hope for everything that they're doing year after year. I'm sure they get to know a lot of people personally because they're so involved. So it would be a wonderful idea to one day maybe bring in those people that have seen you over the years so they can talk about, nobody knows what everybody goes through on a day-to-day basis. We all do a really good job containing the battles that we have to face day to day.
Yeah. It's like I also think, it's that voice in the back of my head and where it's like, is it interesting enough? Like, do people even want to hear about this stuff?
Yeah.
And it's, I had a few guests that were supposed to come on that ended up canceling because I know that's why they didn't want to come on.
Really?
Yeah. Cause they were like, I'm not interesting enough. I don't have enough going on. And I don't, just one in particular I'm thinking of. And, I tell them, I'm like, it doesn't matter what you have going on. It's the conversation that we'll be able to have.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need to be like doing
Scripted.
Yeah. It doesn't, you don't need to be having 100 things going on in your life to have an interesting conversation. So like that thought of people just not being good enough, I guess, for like other people's perspective or something. It's frustrating to see because I want to see everybody do. At the end of the day, I really do want to see everybody succeed.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. So hopefully we can get these people back on again today. I don't want to say who it is because I do think he's going to end up coming back on. But we were supposed to have a guest on today, and he kind of he canceled this morning, and I had a feeling that it was going to happen.
Yeah,
I even mentioned it to you the other day. I said I have a feeling that we're going to have to come up with a backup plan, and that's one thing that I've gotten really good at.
Yeah, plan B.
Plan B. That's something I've really been good at. You have to always have a plan B. You really do. I mean, having a backup plan is super crucial. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You have a plan that may not go your way all the time, but if you have that backup plan, you know me, I even have a third plan.
Yeah.
So like when you prepare yourself like that, you can end up, eventually crawling out of that whatever situation.
Yep.
So you talked about the purpose of the podcast. Yeah. Let's deal on like the beginning of it, because everyone has this idea like, oh, I want to do this podcast because of this and that. What really like motivated you to do it, and like what was the process of doing it, like in the steps to start? Yeah.
So I thought of the idea years ago. It was It was probably like post-COVID, probably about like a year or a few months after COVID. And I understood, I really started becoming obsessed with marketing. Because during COVID, that's when like marketing was everywhere. Like they
Yeah.
were using techniques
Oh, yeah.
that were captivating everybody. And I started catching on to certain things that I was like, wow, that company just came out of nowhere and they're worth millions now. And,
Yeah.
or they just came up with that idea because of, you know, a lot of these companies that come out, they're not even companies, they're a marketing agency.
Yeah.
They're a brand that just develops this product that's not even like, they're not selling the product, they're selling the marketing. So like I started to think, I'm like, okay, you know, I want to start these businesses. I've always known that I wanted, you know, 6 different streams of revenue. That's my number. I don't know why I came up with this number, but
good
it's
one.
the number that I'm going to reach. We're at 4 now, or 3 or 4, and we're going to hit 6. So my idea was to create a platform that I was able to just talk about these things and bring people together that have the same kind of mindset on wanting to bring in different streams of revenue, in hopes that I would eventually be able to like partner up with them on a project, or down the line work on a project together, or get an idea from them or give them an idea, or just work together or create a team. Like that was the overall goal. So like I'm sitting in my office last year, and I had Kyle Garneau, who was working for me. He was my project manager. He was to the left of me, and Stephanie was in front of me. And I'm sitting there just kind of thinking of ideas. And I said, I really want to start giving the podcast some thought. And we started looking at prices for equipment. We were going to turn the upstairs Castion's room, the upstairs spare bedroom, into a studio, because the downstairs I had was acclimated to the office. And, you know, we got the prices together. But I knew that I didn't want to do it half-assed. Like I didn't want to do like shitty production.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of editing. So like I knew it was going to take a lot of editing. I knew it was going to take a lot of time. So I waited, and I knew that the right time would come, and I would eventually act on that right time. And I don't know, just like every other idea I have. Sheena, do you remember what sparked this, like, let's do it now?
Let's do it now. Well, first of all, if we back up, you've known what you've wanted for a very long time, because when we first started dating, these are all the things that you said you wanted to do, like your specific weight loss goals. You talked about wanting to do the podcast, but you weren't ready at that time. And this kind of goes back to also the manifestation talk that we've had. Like, you manifest really well. You have the ability to think about what you want, and then you do not stop until it happens. So, I mean, it's been a pleasure watching the growth. I mean, it's nonstop growth. Every day you're pushing us to be the better version of ourselves, for ourselves, but also for our children. I mean, it's amazing. Like, we have, like you're saying, we've built the foundation. We even have inspired our children to start working with making clips. And so the inspiration is just a ripple effect. And you know what you want. And that's what's powerful.
Yeah. So I remember the night that I contacted Ash. We were laying in bed. It was around 9:30 at night. And I said, you know what? I got Horizon now. I got CES. We're working on this fitness thing. I want to start meeting other people. You know, I'm at the stage right now where I think I have enough to offer to somebody else in order to be some type of, not inspiration, but like foundation for them to maybe start something that they've been wanting to do.
Right.
So I made the phone call. I searched podcast studios, and there was 2 numbers that popped up. One was Ash, and one was another one. Ash was the first one to pick up. We came out here. You know, we took a look at the studio. I met Ash. I saw some of his work that he's done, and I made the decision. I said, and I think that's one of the biggest things, going back to what you say. You know, my brother Matt says this to me all the time. He says, you just do it. Like you think of something and you do it. And I often get messages quite a bit on Instagram or Facebook, saying, you know, John Cummings, he was a friend of mine. He was back in, you know, the Federal Hill days. I would party with him, and, you know, great kid, John. What's up, man? And he's a huge supporter. Wrote me a message and was like, dude, you have the ability to just like make things happen in such a unique way, and you complete them. And I think at the end of the day, the drive that is allowing me to create this is just doing it.
Yeah.
It's like creating this idea. I'm not scared to fail. That's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
I'm not scared to fail. I don't care if this doesn't work. I don't care if my businesses don't work. I'm going to do it again. I will start another company that works. I will keep going until it does work. Like, I will not stop because I don't care what other people say at the end of the day. I don't give a fuck what other people say. I really don't. It's like, if you don't believe in me, then you're not even, I don't even think about you. Right. I don't even think about that, to be honest with you. I make a goal, I look straight, and I do whatever it takes to meet that goal. And whether it's done the right way or the wrong way, I don't care. As long as I do it, I'm happy. So like this podcast, I didn't think it would do this good. Yeah. I told you that from the get-go.
I knew it would.
I said maybe it'll get 100 views, maybe it'll do 50.
I said 1,000.
And like the first episode we dropped got 500, and now the clips are getting 2,000, and we're getting offers from other studios that are saying we'll pay for all of your production if you come to our brand, which I declined because I looked at you the night that I got that message, and I was like, if they see value in this, then there's value. And that was after the second episode?
Yeah, that was.
You know, so like there was that deal. There's the Channel 10 deal, the Channel 6 deal. There's just things that are spawning off. And I knew, like I said, that was the goal from the beginning. You plant the seed, you build the foundation, and there's just branches that branch off to different opportunities. And I knew that was going to happen. I knew it. I knew sitting down with certain people was going to eventually lead to something else.
Yeah. And you said right away, this is going to get really big, and it's going to get really big really fast. So we have to make sure that we protect our energy and not
the podcast. I said, you mean like just what we're doing.
Just what we're doing. Everything collectively is building momentum. Yeah. And when you have more than one person, we touched on this with Albert Martinez, just when you have more than one person focusing and locked in on goals, then it just happens quicker.
Well, first of all, when I didn't ever imagine meeting somebody like you that was going to push me to this much. And I was doing all of these things when we met. I had all these goals. I had all these ideas, but you are really the catalyst. Catalyst. You're the driving energy that really gives me that drive to just like want to succeed. And like every day I wake up and I want to do as best as I possibly can and be the best person I possibly can for our family, for the kids, for my son, for Cashton, for Cam, for the family, for Angelina, for Caden, for everybody involved. If I'm at my best, I'm able to give the best to all of you guys. And that is just going to be a ripple effect. Like you said, they're going to see that motivation. They're going to see the hard work. And we already have the youngest making clips and wanting to get involved in all of my businesses. Going back to when we met, I didn't picture meeting someone so great and incredible that would push me to the lengths that I'm able to go right now, because having somebody to say you can do it, like you're gonna do it. It's not even like you can't, like, if you do this, you're gonna do it. It's like, no, you're gonna do it because you've known me from day one to do what I say I'm gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've told you multiple things that I was gonna do, and I've done them over and over and over, and you got to the point of knowing, okay,
it's gonna happen.
It's going,
absolutely.
So like having that by my side, I'm just really looking forward to the next few years, because I think, we're in for a really cool journey together. And I think we're going to see some things that we couldn't imagine. I really think some really big opportunities are coming just from what we're putting out there.
Yeah.
We're putting out really good energy. We're meeting really good people. The drive that we have is it can't be beat, and I'm not going to stop. Yeah. I am not going to stop until I get what I want. And what I want is total, complete financial freedom. I want health. I want happiness. I want I want freedom from everything that being in a financial pinch can hinder you from. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to stop, and I know you're not going to stop pushing me, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I mean, I love you with all my heart and soul. You are literally like my twin. You are the male version of me. And I think that's why we're able to push each other so much, because we know just how to do it. We know that we have incredible synergy, and we also know that we're able to regenerate that energy and share it with others. And that comes naturally, and it comes from a good, solid heart. And you just want to help people. You do make an incredible amount of money, and with each revenue, each stream, it's going to get more and more. But that's not your goal. That's not your drive. Your passion isn't to make money. It's just a byproduct of everything that we want to do that is amazing. I mean, it costs money to be able to reach out to people. This is not free to be able to inspire others, but we don't care that that's not free.
We know that this is going to spiral into something else, like it already has.
Absolutely.
And that's the goal.
It is the goal.
Ash, what did you think when I walked in and thought of this and had this idea, and kind of, what was your first reaction?
Honestly, my first reaction, I was very, very excited. I was pumped. Because like we were talking about the way that the businesses work, like the first year is gonna be hell. Like, and that's how it was. I was open for a year with the studio and no calls, no nothing, and so I'm just spending money on rent and electricity and all that stuff. And it's just like I got to the point where I was like, do I just like give up on this? Like, is this another thing that like has failed? And I was able to like, you know what? I already have this place. Let's just continue to move forward. Like even if it's just an area I can go and just do my stuff for my computer stuff. And, but you reaching out, it gave me that motivation, that punch. And I was like, all right, nice. And like your ideas were amazing. And like, I wanted to do whatever I could to, I'm the same way as you. So like, I wanted to make sure that I put out the best possible product. Like I don't put it out like half-ass stuff. Like I like, You can see like in your studio right now, like surrounding all this stuff, like it always is upgrading and updating and stuff. And I'm always looking to the future and stuff like that. So with the idea of the podcast, I was very pumped and excited because it was a new opportunity, and I was just making sure that I am doing my part in allowing for your vision to actually come to fruition and be able to like reach the audience that you're looking for and have those conversations that you need to, because networking is very important, especially when it comes to person, not in the sense of like you're doing it for a favor, but like you end up getting favors in return. And so it allows you to have people on your side that you can be able to lean on or you help if you need advice or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, they say it takes a village to raise children, but I mean that is true about life. You can get more done when you have more people on your side, more resources, and encouragement and camaraderie. That was another really big thing about the military. You have all these people coming in from everywhere in the U.S. Nobody knows anyone. You're grouped together. So if you're lucky, you know what job you're going to do. If not, you learn after you get to boot camp what you're going to do, and you're forced to communicate with people to finish that mission. Yeah. It's amazing.
Networking. Ash, tell Sheena about your dream the other night.
Oh, so I had a dream. So I had a dream that we actually did a podcast on the road, and it was all the way in Australia. And so that we traveled to Australia to do a podcast to interview someone, and it was just an amazing experience. And,
let's go.
And then so I texted Mike, and Mike was like, "Let's make it a reality." And so I'm just like so pumped.
Let's do it. Yeah. I would love to go to Australia.
Listen, man, I honestly think, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I think this is going to be a good team. Like I think, I know that you've had some podcasts in the past where like they were one and done, and they didn't get that instant gratification, which we talk about a lot. But dude, this is going to be This is going to be cool, man. This is only episode 5. We're already doing really well for just having. And listen, I'm only uploading to YouTube right now. We just got our Spotify. Let's give a quick shout out to Spotify, by the way, because we just got accepted onto the Spotify platform.
Nice.
So we will be uploading to Spotify maybe this episode.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful process. I mean, how we're moving from one to the next. So I think that's, and it's also not just Spotify. It's Spotify, Amazon Music, and Samsung Podcasts. So you'd be able to catch all of these episodes on multiple platforms, which again goes back to the networking. You're going to be reaching out to. You never know who.
No, there's actually a podcast that I'm going to be on in a couple weeks. It is, I wish I had the name of it, but they have quite a bit of, they have 230,000 followers. They reached out to me out of nowhere and said, we think you're a perfect fit to be a guest on the show. They get like 6,000, 7,000 likes on each clip that they drop. They have a huge following, and it's this kid that I don't even know where he's from, but we the interview is next week or next Thursday, and I think that's like the soft interview. Nothing is going to be recorded or on their podcast yet. It's just to get to know each other.
Vibes.
Yeah, and then we're going to schedule a date that I don't know if I'm going to fly out or what, how we're going to do it, but I'll be going on that podcast, and we'll be bringing hopefully some of their viewers this way.
Yeah.
That's really what I want to do too. And Ash, I think we should have a conversation about this after, is start reaching out to some micro influencers on TikTok and Instagram, and having them, take a look at our podcast and try to get it out to their viewers. And I know my youngest said that going into some of the live streams, kind of pumping out our URL, there's different ways that we can make this thing grow.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're getting thousands of
growing.
views organically just from YouTube, and uploading it to my Facebook stories. That I'm excited just for the growth that's going to end up coming later on. Imagine where we're going to be episode 20.
Yeah, I know.
Episode 20 is who knows the numbers, but at the end of the day, it's not even about the numbers for me. And I said that from day one. I'm having a great time just being in here right now.
Yeah.
Just bullshitting, talking about what's going on in the world, giving my opinion on things.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. It's about, making as much content as possible to let people know that you're in the game.
Yeah.
You're in the game. You're here. You want to meet new people. You want new ventures. You're open for new ideas. You're that's the goal. So
The zest for life.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I have to say, going back to how we met, I am forever grateful for
That's a cool
the
story.
junior
Let's talk about that.
Junior Clippers. Yes. So he met his partner, Mike Phillips, through the Junior Clippers as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's true. I
It's
didn't think
a
of
really
that.
cool synergy there. But my son, so we're not originally from Cumberland, but we've been here for 2 years now. And my son, Camden, he really wanted to play football. The year that we moved here, we just missed getting signed up. We were a month and a half late for that season. And so I was emailing back and forth, and they said, it's too late, you can't start. So I was like, okay, well, next year we'll make sure we get you on the team. And we did. We joined the Cumberland Clippers and the varsity team he was put on because of his age. And that's how we met. And I'm forever grateful, because you've changed the entire projection of my life in such a short amount of time. I know eternity with you we're going to create phenomenal chemistry everywhere we go. And that's so exciting, because our lives are really, really short. It took 40 years to even get to a certain maturity level, and it's going to be the rest of our lives just with that constant growth.
We were at equipment handouts, and so what they do every year is they put a time together that all the players go and pick up their equipment, their shoulder pads, their helmets, and all the coaches are at the equipment handouts, and we're putting stickers on the helmets, we're sizing the kids, we're giving them their pads and fitting their helmets, and so I'm behind the table, and It was my third year coaching, not in a row, but throughout the years. And I almost wasn't going to coach that year.
Yeah.
I really wasn't. I had just started my business, and that was CES at the time. And had I started Horizon before, I would not have coached because I wouldn't have had time. But I told myself, I said, you know what, from 6 to 8 every night, Monday through Friday, it'll keep me busy. It'll keep me going. I'll go to the gym after or before. I worked out a little schedule. So I ended up accepting it. And so we're at handouts, and I'm putting a sticker on a helmet, and I look up, and I see you, and you're wearing a red shirt with black pants, and I was like, she's not from around here. I could tell because I would have seen you, and you just stood out, and I couldn't stop looking up at you, and I was like, she's definitely going to notice, and I kept looking up, and I said, I got to get to know this girl. That she's just your aura was unbelievable, and I couldn't get. I was doing my own thing, and you were kind of a little further away, so. I told myself, I said, I'll catch her, at another time, and I'll make conversation. So a couple of days pass, and the coach put together kind of a meeting where the players would come together with all the parents, and we did like a parent-player kind of get-together at his house.
Which we almost didn't go to. Camden and I almost didn't go. We had just flown back from California visiting my siblings, and I was like, this is the first time you get to meet your teammates. Do you want to do it now, or do you want to wait until first practice? And so we were kind of dragging our feet, but I'm glad we went.
So I'm inside, and I'm talking to everybody, and I remember I was sitting on a stool, and I was facing the outside sliding door, and there was a group of people around me and behind me, and I was kind of in the center, and we were all just talking, and I just glanced over, and I saw you sitting outside by yourself, and you just had this smile on your face, looking up at the trees, just so peaceful looking, and I was like, she is absolutely beautiful. I said, I have to go talk to her. So I opened up the slider. I went outside, and immediately I just said, how you doing? I've never seen you around here. I'm Mike. Nice to meet you. And the second you started talking, I fell in love. I said, she is perfect. Your smile, your eyes, like just the way you looked at me, I was captivated. And we started talking about conspiracy theories right away. Aliens, conspiracy theories. Religion, war. California.
Oh, my gosh.
Afghanistan. We went off, and we started talking. And when you got up, I noticed your body. And I was like, that can't be real.
Oh, man.
Because it's so perfect. I mean, your body's insane.
Thank you.
And when you walked away, I just was like in awe. And I said, I cannot believe, I need to talk to this person more. And later that night, I went on Facebook, and I got a friend request from you.
Yeah.
And I made up some stupid thing to just talk to you.
Yeah.
I started just a conversation about...
What's your favorite restaurant?
Something like that. It was just... And from there, we took it, and, we haven't stopped since. And that was the best thing that's ever happened. I'm super grateful for this relationship, and, man... Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely. I honor you so much every day. Your patience with, when you're in a position like yourself where you're not only running your own life, you're running businesses, you're running other people that are helping with your businesses, that's a lot of hats to wear. It's a lot of stress, and you hold your composure throughout every day with just phenomenal stoic stature. And I know it's a lot. You're able to compartmentalize and keep all of your different stresses within, but that's something that a leader has to have, and you have it. Day in, day out, we deal with so many different topics, so many different situations, and there's a tremendous amount of growth that's happened since meeting you. Like, it's never a dull moment. We have talked about more topics in the last 9 months than I have in my entire year, all compiled into one. We're always learning something. There's always some type of podcast or just informational. We're always dreaming about what could be next. Like, there's never a dull moment. And that's what I mean by living life with zest. Like, you can just wake up every day and go to work and go to the gym and do this or that. But doing that with you has been fun since day one. Like, going to the gym, I feel like a kid again. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like, okay, come on, let's go, best friend. Like, you know, and I love it.
We became best friends really quick.
Yeah.
Really quick. I actually went back to Mike Phillips' house, my partner's house, after I had saw you for that first time. And I said, I think I just met my future wife. I swear to God, and I don't say shit like that.
Yeah.
I said it, and I remember saying it. And I don't know why I said it. I said, this girl's got a phenomenal body, by the way. I am in love, and I think I just met my wife. I love you, and this has been amazing. Yeah. And I can't wait for, you know, the next thing that we do. We line up goals, and we knock them down all the time, and we're just going to continue doing that.
Every day,
you know
every day.
Ash, you got anything else? Should we, what are we at for time?
We're good with time. We're about to hit almost 2 hours now.
You guys want to keep going? What do you think?
It's your call.
I have so much more to say to you every day of my life, so it's up to you.
This is why she's amazing. She's perfect. I mean, we could go over a couple more things and just clip them out. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, we could clip them out. Well, we have summer's coming finally today. I literally sat in my car just because it felt like a sauna. The sun was beaming in through the windows. It just, after being in gray weather for so long, it was revitalizing. So I'm super excited. Unfortunately, summer goes really fast, but we have a lot coming up.
We were just talking about that. There was something that, like, I have to renew in 3 months, and I looked at the date, and it said 11/24/24, and I was like, man,
winter
in 3 months it's going to be winter.
Yeah.
We don't have enough time. I can't wait to buy a house in Florida.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to be, what do they call it?
A snowbird.
I cannot wait to be a snowbird.
Yes.
Because we will do that. We will own a house in Florida sooner than later.
Yes.
And we are going to live down in Florida during the winter and come back up here because I love New England.
Yes, me too.
I love the fall. It's my favorite season of all.
Gorgeous.
I love the smells. I love the pumpkin candles. I get into all that stuff.
I love that about you.
I love it. I love that smell. I love coming home and smelling apple crisp candles.
Yes.
And just like, it just puts me, it probably has to do with the month I was born.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like some type of connection with that. But October is just such a phenomenal month for me. I have so many good memories in October as well. And yeah, I love the fall. So I could never actually move away from New England.
Yeah.
But I would absolutely love to have a house down south.
Yeah.
And move up here in the spring and in the summer.
Yeah, spring is...
Because it's too hot down there in the summer.
It is way too hot. But also, like you said, spring is so magical. Like, I don't know if you have to go through winter in order to really appreciate spring. But when the colors start popping, I feel like I'm in a different world. It's so beautiful. Yeah. The pink and yellows and the greens coming back. It's just... every spring, it's so worth it.
You know what I love about you? You are 99% of the time in this mood.
Yeah.
This, for everybody watching, this is how she is all the time. It's amazing. And imagine being able to live with someone like this. Being able to come home every day and go throughout your day with somebody who has so much positive, you know, that's special. And, you know, we have our moments. We all have our moments, but it's nothing. It's like a blimp, and it's like something that we get by so quick. And, you know, everybody has to have that in order to grow. But like 99% of the time, you're like this. It's amazing. It's I've never met anybody really like that.
Thank you. Well, I mean, you're literally the same from my perspective.
I think I'm a grumpy asshole sometimes.
I don't think so. Like 99% of the time, you are uppity up. It's rare that you're cranky. But when you have that moment, that's what's beautiful about our relationship too, is we're incredibly in sync. So we don't even have to say the words like I'm cranky or leave me alone. It's just an energy where we can say,
Yeah, for sure.
you know, vicariously through that energy, I just need a moment to just go through my thoughts or defunk from my day or reevaluate. And our system is perfect.
Where do you see us in 2 years?
Ooh, 2 years. Yeah. I see us building a 3 tenement home.
Building or buying?
Building. I am stuck on building. I feel like we'll find land that's just perfect and start creating residence and new homes for people. New England is beautiful when it comes to their homes, but a lot of homes need to be updated. So I think it's fun to be able to create brand new settings because that gives people vision too. Like sometimes if you don't paint your walls, it gets blah. Yeah. So you need to take that time, and that helps with living with a zest of change. Gives you zest. It makes you want to be happy because you never know what you're going to run into.
Yeah. That's you've always wanted to go the 3-family route. I think that's what we should do first and foremost.
Yeah.
Is invest into a 3-family and then, keep going.
Yeah. Because we're going to be here. We're going to be here a lot for a very long time. So it's good to plant our roots in this community. I absolutely adore Cumberland, and I love it because you're here more than anything. But I could be here forever. Even if we didn't have plans to go to Florida, honestly, I've told you before, if you wanted to go to Antarctica, I hate the cold, but I would go with you. Like, I'll go anywhere with you.
We're not going to go there ever.
Thank goodness. But, I mean, there's that's another topic one day that we'll have to talk about. Antarctica is blooming with newsreels lately.
Yeah.
So
remember the other night, we were like, a pyramid just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, you were on, I think it was from TikTok.
Yeah.
It was just this random video, just randomly popped up saying a pyramid was coming out from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah, just out of the water. And
somewhere.
he flicked by it pretty quick, and I was like, wait a minute, I think we might need to know about that.
It was
Pyramids?
bullshit, though. It was bullshit. Yeah, Antarctica's nuts. I don't know what they're hiding from us, but it's,
German aliens.
Yeah, who knows? But that's definitely a topic for another time.
For sure.
It's 2 hours. We freaking killed this podcast.
Yep, I knew we would.
I think we could go for another hour, but I'm getting exhausted, to be honest with you. I can't wait to go home and watch a movie. And we didn't finish Kill Tony, so we got to do that. Ugh. Oh, the roast of Tom Brady.
Yes.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it?
I want to see it so bad.
It's so good. It's so good. He got $25 million for that. $25 million. And people are busting his balls because of the jokes that they made against Giselle and the MMA trainer.
Right.
And he was like, dude, you think about any single guy that broke up with their wife because their wife cheated on them with an MMA instructor, and Netflix offered you $25 million for other people to roast you about that, you would do it too.
I'd take it. 100%. Yep, absolutely.
Nikki Glazer was unbelievable. Tony Hinchcliffe was amazing. Mm-hmm. It brought back like the I don't give a shit type of comedy that needs to be around.
Yeah, no one was getting all pussyfooted about it.
No, we need that comedy. And, all this shit that's happening with like the, being canceled and watch what you say. And like at the end of the day, let's just have fun.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to be living to, I don't know. I'm getting tired, but this is a topic I definitely want to cover. When's the next podcast? Thursday?
Thursday.
What day is it today? Tuesday?
We got to figure out time for Thursday.
Yeah, today's Tuesday. So we got to figure out a time for Thursday, but that's something that I want to bring
touch
up.
on. Okay.
Yeah, that was a great episode. Great show. The Cat Williams one was really good too.
Yeah, that was funny.
They're starting to go live, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I love you to death.
I love you too.
And listen, this from now on is how it's going to be. We're going to do a show when the guests don't appear. And even if we do not have a guest scheduled, we're going to do the Mindset Radio podcast with Mike and Sheena. Yes. And we're going to just continue putting out content, continue giving you guys, new episodes. Thank you, everybody, for the support. Seriously, it means more than you guys even know. The messages that we get, the support that we get, it keeps us going. And please subscribe the channel. You guys will be able to catch this episode on Spotify, on Apple Music, on all of the other platforms. Most platforms that carry a podcast, you'll be able to find this podcast on from now on. And again, guys, thank you all so much for the support. I can't wait to keep going and what the future's going to hold. I love you.
I love you too.
All right. Take care, guys.